Welcome to the Traders Help Desk online video collection. In this video, I'm going to go over the Euro trade that occurred this morning, Friday, March 19th. As you see on my screen, this was the opening bar of the London session. Now, the first thing that I noticed is number one, it was a very wide bar, a very wide volume bar as well. And the RSI is red and the ADX has turned dark blue. Now, the one thing that concerns me is the wide bar. I know that 80% of the time this wide bar will retrace. And the volume bar is at the opening of the market, but very, very high volume, which I would consider a volume spike. So we're going to walk through the market as I saw it this morning. And at this point, I am expecting a retracement of this wide bar. Okay, we have a down bar. It's starting to retrace, which is what I would anticipate. Now we have a bar that closes in our direction, but if you notice, we have not made an isolated low, and I'm still expecting more of a retracement here. So I'm still just watching the market. You see that we do not have a bright blue on the ADX. Now we have turned magenta on the ADX, and still not really confident on this, and I do not have a setup yet. So I'm just going to wait and observe the market. I'm still waiting. We now have an isolated low, but you can also see we have a magenta peak. Now that tells me it should pull back to the ATR stop. Okay, we now have an isolated low and a close in our direction. However, I know for a fact that with this magenta peak, this should have pulled back to the ATR, at least within 5 ticks. As you can see from my screen, it's about 20 ticks away. So no way I will enter that trade right now. Okay, still not pulled back within 5 ticks of the ATR, so I'm still waiting. Now it's turned red. You see that you had lost momentum. You went from a dark blue ADX to a bright blue and immediately back to dark blue. Again, this tells me that there's no momentum in that position. So I'm still waiting, and this particular bar here has too much risk. We did have an isolated high here, but again, too much risk on that one bar. It's almost 20 ticks of risk outside of the scope of my trading plan. Now, we do have an isolated high here, also a close in our direction here. This is a case where there's not enough risk. You've got about 2 ticks, 3 ticks max on that. So by the time I entered the trade, I would not have enough room for slippage or to make a profit. So I'm going to bypass that trade. And again, I'm just watching, observing what the market is doing. It doesn't look like they're able to take it lower. You see the ADX is not increasing in strength. We're not getting any magenta colored bars. Again, you see you're losing momentum over here. ADX not strong. There's no magenta peak here that I can say, okay, it's going to go up. So I'm still just kind of observing the market. Now, at this point, we're making higher lows. Well, that goes against the definition of a downtrend. In fact, it's telling me we may go back to a long position. You also see that you get bright blue on the ADX. I'm still waiting. No entry. No entry. Okay, we're making higher highs now, making higher lows. Okay, this is a potential to the upside. Now we have made an isolated low here. The problem is your ADX is too high. It's not quite right now. Now, we've got the ADX peak. That tells me again price should pull back to the ATR. And it has to do it within 5 ticks. Okay, still has not pulled back. Now this is where we have a potential, okay? As you can see, the stop is at 40.62 and the low has been 40.66. So now we have a potential for an entry. We have pulled back to within 5 ticks. So I'm going to enter at the open of the next bar. Let's go ahead and place our clipper on here. As you can see, we have 6 ticks of risk, 12 ticks of reward if we take everything off at clipper 1. So let's see how this plays out. Okay, we're at clipper 1 and you see the momentum is building here. So I'm going to go ahead and stay with it because we're getting sort of an Otis trade here. We can expect an additional pop within 2 bars. There's 1. Ooh, there's 2. There's the pop. Okay. We got clipper 2 now. Now I could take everything off, in which we would have 24 ticks per contract. But with the ADX going up, I know that it's probably going to come back and test this level of the ADX. So I elect to stay with my trade. I moved my stop to clipper 1. Oh, almost at clipper 3. Within 2 ticks, there we go. I'm out of the position. The total on that trade was 36 ticks per contract. Nice risk to reward on this.